Charles Joseph Whitman's story is characterized by tragic and shocking happenings. His life began with promising talents and a hopeful youth, only to end in one of the most horrific rampages in American history. This documentary takes you on a journey through the stages of Charles Joseph Whitman's life, from his promising beginnings to the horrific happenings at the University of Texas that changed the lives of countless people forever. Charles Joseph Whitman, the oldest of the three sons of Charles Adolphus Whitman and his wife Margaret Hodges Whitman, was born in Lake Worth on June 24, 1941. In Charles Joseph's youth, his hobbies included playing the piano and hunting. He was also a Boy Scout, where he was the youngest American to reach the level of Eagle Scout. He also had very good grades and an above-average IQ of 138.9. He graduated from St. Anne High School in West Palm Beach, Florida. In 1959, at the age of 21, he joined the United States Marine Corps, a branch of the U.S. military. Due to his good performance, he received a scholarship and began studying at the University of Texas at Austin in the fall of 1961. There he also met his future wife Kathleen. Due to poor performance, Charles Joseph's scholarship was temporarily withdrawn, but he later resumed his studies, which he financed with part-time jobs and support from his father. Charles Joseph Whitman's parents later separated. In 1965, Charles Whitman visited several doctors at the university's health center because he was suffering from headaches. Just 1 year later, at the age of 24, he visited the health center because of mental health problems. There he was prescribed Valium and referred to a psychiatrist where he only attended one session. During this session he mentioned, among other things, his fantasy of shooting people from a tower with a hunting rifle. The psychiatrist Maurice Dean Heatley was concerned about Whitman's mental state because he had noticed bursts of aggression on the slightest of occasions. However, Whitman was not dangerous enough for the psychiatrist to commit him. On July 31, 1966, Whitman sat at his typewriter to write the first 2 letters in which he outlined his intentions to murder his wife and mother, before committing his mass murder at the University of Texas. In them, he professed his love for his wife, as well as his mother. He wanted to spare them the humiliation and suffering. On the night of August 1, 1966, the time had come. Charles Whitman stabbed his mother to death in her apartment. He then went to his own apartment and stabbed his wife Kathleen to death at around 3:30 a.m. Late that morning, Whitman rented a hand truck before driving to his bank, where he picked up $250 worth of cash. He then drove to a hardware store where he bought a lightweight semi-automatic carbine that was used in World War II. He also bought 2 ammunition magazines and 8 boxes of ammunition. He told the cashier that he was planning to travel to Florida to hunt wild hogs. 30 minutes later, he bought 4 more carbine magazines, 6 boxes of ammunition, and a can of gun cleaning solvent at Chuck's gun shop. Later, he bought another shotgun. He packed all these purchases and more guns, ammunition, machetes, knives, and even food and drink into his coffer, arriving at the University of Texas at 11:25 a.m. dressed as a janitor. Around 11:35, Whitman entered the tower to be ready when students changed classrooms at 11:45 to maximize targets. There he encountered 51-year-old receptionist Edna Townsley, whom he beat unconscious and then hid her body behind a couch. Shortly afterwards, Whitman built a barricade with a desk, 2 chairs, and a waste paper basket to block the entrance to the 28th floor. Surprisingly, he was encountered by a vacationing family from Texarkana who tried to get past the barricade. When 16-year-old Mark Gabauer tried to pry open the entrance to the stairs, Whitman turned around and fired his shotgun at the family. Thereby he killed Mark and his 56-year-old aunt Marguerite Lamport, and seriously wounded 19-year-old Michael Gabauer before resealing his makeshift barricade. At 11:48 a.m., Whitman began firing from the observation deck. His targets were random people on and around campus, though most were young students. The first victim was an 18-year-old woman who was 8 months pregnant. Several of those killed or injured were shot on or near a section of Guadalupe Street known as the Drag, which is home to coffee shops, bookstores, and other places popular with students west of the main building. Numerous others were shot from the other 3 sides of the observation deck. In the first 15 minutes after Whitman fired from the tower for the first time, he shot most of his victims. Many people mistook the sound of gunfire for the noise of a construction site, but when they saw the large amounts of blood, they realized it. As the shooting continued, several police officers provided cover from the ground, forcing Whitman to stay low. Despite this, Whitman continued to find targets, sometimes from 500 meters away. Light aircraft were used to distract Whitman, among others, to further limit his ability to fire from the tower. On the 26th floor, several officers, including Day, Crum, Cohen, Martinez, Jack Rodman, and Leslie Gebert, met with Michael Joseph Gabauer, who claimed his family had been murdered by the shooter in the building. While some officers calmed the man, others blocked entrances to the building and went to the upper floors. Martinez and Crum found wounded and dead people on their way to the observation deck. When they got there, Crum fired to distract the gunman and Martinez tried to shoot at him but missed his shots. McCoy then jumped out and hit the gunman between the eyes, killing him instantly. Martinez then fired at point-blank range at the gunman, who was lying on the ground. That ended the incident at 1:24 p.m. When civilians and police officers were initially unaware that the shooter had been taken out, they continued to fire at the tower, narrowly missing Martinez. McCoy gave instructions to another officer to inform the Austin police dispatcher that the sniper had been killed. After this information was relayed, Alan Crum signaled with a white handkerchief from the top of the parapet that the sniper's siege of the tower was over. In total, he killed 17 people and injured 32 others before being killed by the police. In terms of the number of victims, it was the most serious shooting rampage in the United States at the time. The identity of the perpetrator was officially established through the identification cards in Whitman's possession around 3 p.m. and spread nationwide. After Whitman's father contacted police and provided his son's address and that of his former wife, police discovered the bodies of the 2 women along with suicide notes Whitman had left near them. In the perpetrator's home, investigators found a collection of written admonitions that he apparently read daily and kept in an envelope. On this envelope, Whitman had left a final message: I could never quite make it. These thoughts are too much for me. The University of Texas remained closed for a day after the shooting at the University of Texas Tower, and did not reopen until August 3rd. The flags on campus were flown at half-mast for over a week. The tower's observation deck remained closed to the public until 1968. After the suicides of 4 students between 1968 and 1974, who took their own lives from there, it was decided to close the platform permanently. It was not open to the public again until 1999, but only for guided tours by prior arrangement. All visitors must pass through metal detectors before entering the site. Whitman's body was autopsied at Cook Funeral Home on the morning of August 2, 1966. A small, fairly well-defined tumor was discovered in the white matter above his amygdala. There is disagreement among experts as to whether this tumor could have contributed to the murderous act, and the despair that drove Whitman to the massacre. His body was buried next to his mother's at Hillcrest Memorial Park in West Palm Beach, Florida, on August 5. The story of Charles Joseph Whitman is tragic and shows how mental health issues can affect behavior. From a promising youth to a devastating attack at the University of Texas, his life illustrates the difficulties of recognizing and treating mental health problems. It also emphasizes the importance of intervening early and supporting people with such problems. Whitman's story reminds us how complex the reasons for such tragic events can be and emphasizes the importance of better mental health care and prevention of violence. That's it for this video. Feel free to write your thoughts about this story in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to support me for free. Thank you for watching.